Disclaimer, I'm not a philosopher, nor am I a psychologist, therapist, counsellor, or any other type of job role that will fall into these types of categories. I'm not suggesting that anything that follows is right or wrong. They are simply just my thoughts and how I view things. This is my way of understanding myself and the world around me a little bit better, and hopefully will help you understand the same. Hi everyone, welcome back to Connor's Compendium of the Self, or The Man Who Fell into the Sky. I'm Connor, and I'm going to be reading another extract from the book today, from the compendium. Before we get into any of that though, I do just want to hope that all of you have had a good week so far, or weekend. Where are we now? What day is it today? Tuesday. It's Tuesday, there you go. Hope you've all had a great week so far, and hope you all have a great week. Hope you had a good weekend as well. Here's a question for you. What have you done this week that you have been grateful for, that you've done for yourself? There's a question. What is that? What have you been up to? Thank you again to everyone for being so supportive of the last video as well, and the first one. It was actually quite mad, the comments and the lovely things that people were actually saying about the last one. So I'm genuinely really happy that it's been so well received, because it's been quite a sort of like nerve-wracking experience doing this, because you know this is such a personal thing to me, and I do want it to do well. I'd be lying if I said that I didn't want it to do well and actually be able to not only help people but also be something that people can actually understand. So yeah, really, I know I've said this in like the past two videos now, but honestly, thank you for all of the kind words and all the likes and everything. So speaking of the book and it being well received, I will be reading the latest extract from this, which is more focused now, and there's going to be a bit of a sort of disclaimer before I read this, because the purposes of this thing is obviously, or the focus of this thing should I say, is philosophy and spirituality, and the kind of conjunction between the two. It all kind of amalgamates into one thing really. But this next extract is a little bit more cosmic-y. I'm going to stick with it. Cosmic-y. There are obviously some philosophical elements to it, but yeah, it's a little bit different to the two extracts that I've done so far, but it still links to them, and that's something that I do want to try and push, is that, you know, I'm trying to approach this from as much of a level-headed point of view as I can, because for me personally, it's just a little bit easier to understand the sort of stuff that you're talking about, because there's some big concepts that I enjoy talking about, but I understand that sometimes it can be a bit too weighty, or you know, it doesn't really fully align with how you think, so it can be a bit like, God, here we go again. You know what I mean? If you feel that when you're listening to this, or if you have more of an inclination to kind of switch off, don't. And I don't mean don't as in, no, listen to me because I'm right. I don't mean that. I just mean just for the time being, while we're together, just suspend your disbelief, remove any kind of other thought processes of thinking, well, this is complete crap, and try and actually try and see for yourself what you could get from these things. And again, I'm not saying that any of these are right. Allow yourself the time now, as you're here anyway. You might as well allow yourself the time and the possibility and the prospect of opening your mind a little bit more and thinking a little bit deeper about something, because this is what this space and time is about. So I implore you to do that. Hope you enjoy. There is a darkness in me, a darkness in all of us, one we cannot escape from because it is a part of us. We all know that it's true, even if we tell ourselves otherwise. In the deepest recesses of our minds, of our souls, this darkness lies. And it's different for everyone, but it is a part of you. We're marked from birth. So does that mean that we're all bad? Always have been, always will be? I don't think so. I think that we are inherently good, but the darkness can grow if you fuel it. Unfortunately, some people do fuel it forever. But in moments of crisis, what do you see most people do? They jump into action. They help. When it really matters, when the fight really is on, people choose good. Of course, there are exceptions to this rule, but in the whole, people choose the light. There's a reason why we enjoy watching the heroes and heroines of our favourite stories going through hell and coming out the other side, because we know that that's the right thing to do. Good prevails. Light wins. We look up at the immeasurable void of space and are filled with wonder and awe. We want to know more about what's out there. We want to understand the impossible. But we forget that we are all stardust, that there is a whole universe within us. The human condition is as confusing as the universe itself. We need only pay more attention to ourselves. Easier said than done, of course. But why? Because there will always be dark on your soul, but there will also always be light. Remember that. Now, as I said, that is a far more cosmic-y kind of extract than some of the other two early ones that I did. But I do still think it's equally as important, and I think now so actually more than ever, given the current state of the world in general, really. It's important more to really understand who it is that you are and understand more of the complexities of us, really. You, me, everyone. If the world's in such a dark place, which I think we can all agree it is, it's important to understand why that could be and where that stems from. And a lot of it stems from, unfortunately, people. However, with that idea does come one of the biggest problems, is that people generally tend to only really focus on their negatives, which is obviously, it's a normal thing to do, because focusing on the negatives is what help you overcome it next time. Because, you know, if you never learnt from something, if you always saw the good in everything all the time, it's hard to learn from what, you know, where your boundaries lie, or where you have to say no, or the things that you don't like people doing around you, or the things that you're willing to put up with. In a multitude of different ways, and obviously with everything that I say on this channel, there's always going to be a varying level of severity with these things, but generally speaking, it's very difficult to see past the bad, and I think people sometimes get a bit too caught up in the idea that people are bad, and that in and of itself becomes its own problem, which is actually an extract in the book. But it is an easy thing to do, and I'm not blaming anyone or chastising anyone, because you should hold people accountable for something if they've done something bad, for sure, but focusing too much primarily on the bad stuff is a bad thing in and of itself, because it just, focusing on the bad just breeds bad from you, and then it's just a constant, you know, snowball effect basically. And then I think from doing that, you're not only allowing that other person's negative headspace and mindset to infect you, you've now got a negative headspace, you've now got a negative mindset, to which you're then probably going to pass that on to someone else, and it'll just spread like this nihilistic fire of hate or bitterness or resentfulness. First of all, where does that stop? Where's that gonna stop? And then secondly, what good is it doing you? It's good, like I said, it's good to hold people accountable, but what good is it now doing you if you're holding on to that? It isn't. It's just spreading negativity. And again, it's a hard thing to unthink. You don't want to, you know, put up with people treating you badly, and nor should you as well, nor should you. And I'm not saying become a doormat. That is the last thing that I'm saying. You do have to stand up for yourself, and you do have to take action if someone is being bad. But what I'm saying is, if you focus on that too much, it can infect you, and then you become the monster that you're trying to battle against. And everyone's darkness is different, that's the thing. Everyone's darkness is different. Everyone's mark on their soul, as I referenced in the book, is different, and it comes from different places, and again, once again, it has different levels of severity to it, depending on your surrounding area and what you've grown up with, your peers are, who your family are, what your mindset specifically is, and things like that. There's a lot of nature and nurture that culminate into that, but at the same time, everyone's light is always different as well. So there's a balance between the two. Sounds familiar? said in another extract as well, and I do actually believe in another one of my videos, in order to be good you have to understand evil. It's the age-old sort of thing, you need darkness in order to appreciate light, and in order to kind of see the two. They have to live together in order to be something. So that's why I'm saying that, don't, if you're fueling your darkness, the worst thing that you can do is be hard on yourself. The worst thing you can do. Be diligent with yourself, be realistic with yourself, and understand that you do need to take responsibility if you're in a mindset like that. And it will shift. You don't always have bad days, you don't always have good days, but when you're having a bad day, if you're berating yourself for being like that, again, you're kind of almost fueling your own darkness. You're almost like connecting the circle of darkness together. Just remove that section of the circle and the darkness doesn't have anywhere to go. It can't fulfill itself because you've removed self-darkness from the circle. If you break the circle, the darkness can't go anywhere. And if you inject light into that place where self-darkness was, and self-hatred and self-malevolence, not sure that's a proper saying, but you know what I mean. If you inject light into there, the darkness won't be able to reconnect to itself, and the light will spread through it, and so you will then end up, there'll still always be dark on us for sure, and there needs to be, because it can be utilised if done properly, but you're far too valuable as an individual. You right watching this video right now, I know I'm pointing at a camera and I'm just sat in my room, but I am speaking to you directly. You are far more valuable than you realise to allow yourself to be consumed by your own darkness, because there's enough of that in the world anyway. Why not give yourself a little bit of light instead? Because the world's going to give you plenty of darkness. Why not do something for yourself? And then maybe through that, if you allow your light to shine a little bit brighter, then maybe you can help someone else as well, because it's infectious. Food for thought. And going a little bit more into the whole, because like I said, it does get a bit cosmic near the end with the whole, we're all part of the universe and everything like that. And I know a lot of people probably probably watched that and went, oh god, here we go. Before you say that, suspend your disbelief for just a minute, or at least suspend that half of you, because we are. I don't mean that in a spiritual way. I mean it in a purely logical way. We are made of stardust. Maybe not specifically, although I kind of think it is specifically. The science backing it. We were made from, Big Bang happens, loads and loads of stuff happens in between, the Earth appears, loads of time passes, we turn up. We're still made from that. If that didn't happen, we wouldn't be here. So we are made from that. So to understand that you are far more than the darkness within you, I think personally is an important thing to be able to understand. We are very complex. There's a lot going on underneath the surface that we don't even understand yet. So give yourself a break, and maybe once enough people stop being so hard on themselves, and we actually all give ourselves a bit of a break. I still do it now. I'm still a bit negative on myself sometimes now, but I try to acknowledge when I'm doing that, and understanding the difference between when it is helpful to think like that and when it isn't. Because I can't sit here and say to you that it's not, but I won't sit here and say to you that it is. Because at the end of the day, I think personally, the darkness doesn't want you to understand, but the light does. It is there. You can't run away from something that you already have, but you can learn to be bigger than it, because that's all it is, a part of you. It isn't you, it's just a part of you. That's it. And like I said, if you choose to inject good into you, if you choose that over the darkness, if you choose good over bad, it's a very archaic way of thinking about it. It's a very over-the-top way of thinking about it, but that is what it is. If you choose that, I believe, personally, this is all this is, it's just my personal opinion, I believe you'll grow. I think you'll grow. I think you'll understand yourself more, understand the world more, and become an advocate for good. Not allowing yourself to be defined by your dark spot. So that's it for the video. I hope you did enjoy this one. I know this one was a little bit different from the other ones, but you know, it's all part of the kind of process of amalgamating philosophy, psychology, and spirituality kind of into the mix. Hope you got something from it, and if you did, even if you didn't, let me know down in the comment section. I want to hear what your thoughts are as well on what I've said. You know, do you agree? Do you disagree? You know, do you just have an elaboration on what I was saying? If so, let me know. You know, this is all about being and creating a space where we can talk about these big things and not be judgmental about other people's viewpoints, and create an environment where we can be safe and transparent. That's the aim of this. So let me know what your thoughts are. But as I said, thank you very, very much for watching the video. I really appreciate you being here watching this and supporting me. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a lovely rest of your week, whatever part of the week that you're on, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much for coming. Take care. Bye.